Broadcasting from the greatest castle in the world, in the county of Lawrence, NCTV45.
Hi, my name's Albert Conti. I'm the Republican candidate for mayor of the city of Newcastle. I want to thank Angela Parada and NCTV45 for having me today. Before we get into the real nuts and bolts of why I'm here, there's something we need to address and get it out in the open. Early on, when I announced my candidacy, there was a flyer being distributed throughout the town and the outer lying areas with some defamatory content. That won't work. They tried it, and on a national level, and we all know who's in the White House today. So we want anybody that would get any type of flyer like that, I'd appreciate it if you get a hold of me. Our lawyers are working on it. We're pretty positive that we know who might have this done, and we hope to have a lawsuit filed sometime in the not too distant future. So that's something we want to get out right now. Should not pertain into politics, but it does, and it needs to be addressed, and I just wanted to get that out in the open right now. The reason why I'm running for mayor is our next mayor is going to encounter several challenges. Not only the roads and infrastructure, we have to begin our descent out of Act 47, our 3-year exit plan. And if the voters and taxpayers of this town put an inexperienced mayor up there who has not been in this system, currently been in the system, understands our finances, he or she will be getting paid to be on a learning experience. It's more vital now that we have a mayor that has a direct plan for exiting Act 47, and it's exceptionally vital that we have a mayor who understands infrastructure. There's never been a better time to have an infrastructure-minded mayor, and I feel that my qualifications suit both. I have running a public works department is no more than a business that does large site packages. I have 30 years experience in infrastructure, and I have 7 years experience at managing and facilitating a multi-million-dollar budget as being the city controller. So I know that what I can bring to the table is head and shoulders above any other candidate out there right now. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected mayor, there's a few things we need to get done with council very early on in my administration. The Blight situation. Everybody has a great deal of concern for Blight, and well, we should. Absentee landlords have helped destroy our property value throughout the entire city. They buy these homes at the free and clear sale. They turn them into HUD homes. They live in New York, Boston, all throughout the country. We're sitting here faced with having to see these homes while we pour our hard-earned tax dollars into our house. My plan would be to create and have council create an act where we have to have a property bond as an absentee landlord. In my business, if you bid a public dollar job, you produce a bond. If you default in any way, they pull your bond, they complete the project for you. I don't know why this shouldn't be for absentee landlords. We establish a criteria package, and for every house they buy, they have to issue the city a property bond. They're given so much time to make that house look like the criteria package that we create for them. If they default, we pull their bond, we hire a contractor, and we do it for them. I think this will protect everybody's property value. People who have sunk their life savings into their house for many, many years have to live with a house next door owned by an absentee landlord. I think this situation will work, and I'm not buying into the fact that it's unconstitutional or illegal. We're a city. We create ordinances. We can create this for the taxpayers and protect their property value. So one other thing that we're going to try to do very early on in my administration with council is, being a city controller, and I see these checks going out the door for our demolition, residential demolition. We spend anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 a year in demolition of residences, and albeit some of them are arsoned and we have to take them down, but there's plenty of houses that can still be rehabbed. We have a lot of small residential contractors within the city of Newcastle who actually live here and pay taxes here, who could use additional income. If we vet them and we block up homes and deed them over to them for $1, and we take them to our bank where we're a heavy depositor and we ask our bank to work with them, they can put facelifts on these houses, rehab them, put taxpayers back into houses. I think it's a win-win for everybody. You're putting houses back on a tax roll, we're cleaning up block by block, and you're helping a local business who lives here and pays taxes here. And we're tearing down homes at an average cost of anywhere as little as $5,000 as high as $8,000. We put a lien on a 20 by 140 lot that nobody has any need for. We never recoup our money. So I think this would be a way to save a lot of that demolition money and actually bring back some residential tax base to a lot of these neighborhoods that so badly need it. Also, very on into my administration, I'd like to get council to work with me on one other issue. And I met with residents throughout the east side, south side. 30 to 40% of the people that reside within the city of Newcastle do not have a driveway. They rely on an alley to get to their house, and in and out of their houses in the morning to go to work, church, whatever the case may be. It's not fair to someone that has to pay $2,000+ a year and rely on an alley, and they're across the street, a guy's paying $2,000 a year. He has a driveway and he can get out and go to work in the morning because we're plowing the street, but we're not maintaining alleys and we're not plowing alleys. I talk to people who have to get together as a neighborhood and chip in and hire a private agency, come down and plow their alley out so that they can get in and out of their houses in the morning. We need to seek funding, and we need to develop an alley restoration program for the taxpayers that do not have driveways in the city. Another thing that's been on my mind a lot the last couple of weeks, I'm in the building every day, and I see seniors come to tax claim, and they're literally crying because they can't afford to pay their taxes. And a lot of them are delinquent. This council voted on hiring Portnoy Law out of Pittsburgh to write the residents a letter when they're delinquent. The letters go anywhere from $50 a letter to $400 a letter, and as high as $800 if they have to file lien against the residents. We have a treasurer and we have a solicitor. If they can't get the job done of collecting the taxes, and we need to go to outside sources to do that, why can we not hire a young lawyer in the city of Newcastle who actually has an office here, pays taxes here, and do it for much less? I don't know why we need Portnoy Law from Pittsburgh to do this, but it's adding a lot more burden on the shoulders of people who are on fixed incomes, who are barely paying their taxes now. This is something I'm going to work on very early on. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I'm going to get this one reversed for the taxpayers. Some time ago, we had to tear down a building on the river along the New Grove Street Bridge, and being a city controller, I had to sign this check, and it was very, very disturbing to me. I just don't understand why the taxpayers have to shoulder the cost of tearing a building down for someone that we put up $1.2 million and gave them a building for $1. And not only do we give them the building, we give them free parking places and 10-year tax abatement. And honestly, I don't think either of us could live long enough to see this money come back into our coffers. We spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $168,000 to $170,000 to tear this building down. And when I asked what we got in return for it, I was told we got the deed to a property which equates to maybe an eighth or a quarter of an acre along the river, which no one's ever going to have any use for. My thoughts would have been this: if I have to shoulder the cost with taxpayer dollars to tear your building down, I'm going to use whatever powers I can through the law to file lien, obtain judgments, and get the taxpayers' money back that we used and put it back to where it should be used. And any future demos like that, if I'm still the controller, this won't happen again. One final thought before I close this segment out is our Act 47. I said earlier in the program that it's vital that the taxpayers put a mayor upstairs that's experienced with our city finances and has a direct plan in exiting Act 47. Because if we exit Act 47 at the wrong time without a plan, we're certain to be in receivership within 6 months to a year. In Governor Corbett signed into law the Act 199 in 2014, which set deadlines for cities to exit out of Act 47. Newcastle's deadline is December of 2019, which means we have to begin our 3-year exit plan right now. And for those who don't know, the residents pay 2%, 2.1%, commuters pay 2%. When we exit out of Act 47, residents will go down to 1%. We lose the commuter altogether. It goes to zero, which means we will lose in excess of $3 million, somewhere between $3 and $3.5 million. How do we get this back? There's just a couple options, because I've been in business long enough to know that you cannot offer services for free. And I think what happened over the last couple decades is the for-profits moved to the outer lying areas, and we have all the non-profits in the downtown. Well, we cannot continue to offer police, fire, protection, and public works for free. So if we exit Act 47 and we lose the commuter tax, there's only a couple ways to recoup it. You either got to put it on a ballot and go home rule charter, which does a couple things. Number one, it gives the voters a lot more voice. And number two, it allows us to govern our city to suit our individual needs without having to listen to what the state tells us. Or we have to install a commuter fee or user fee on non-residents that work inside the city limits. We still may have a distressed pension, so that 1% that would go to on residents for when we exit Act 47 might be able to go to 1.5% with the Act 205 and the distressed pension. But this is something that's going to be one of the biggest challenges for the next mayor, and it will be right in the middle of his first term. And I hope the voters go to the booth with the mindset that we need somebody there, not only that has extensive infrastructure knowledge, but has extensive knowledge of the finances of this city right now at this particular time. If you put somebody inexperienced up there, their tax dollars are going to be going for an education on how do I become mayor when I show up on day one. The next mayor needs to be experienced in this and needs to be able to hit the ground running on day one. Earlier on, I addressed the defamatory flyers going out and stuff, and I'd like to say this. In years past, I don't remember too many debates, maybe 1 or 2 debates, usually when there's a Democratic nominee established and a Republican nominee established. I personally would like to see a debate before the primary with all 5, 7, 8, 10 candidates at one time in one public forum, so that people have an opportunity to decide prior to the primary if they like someone else or not. It's not fair to wait till the general, and maybe you should have had an opportunity to hear what somebody said, but they weren't fortunate enough to make it to the general. And I'm willing right now, and I'm going to put the challenge on the table to any candidate, all candidates. I want to have a debate prior to the May 21st primary. And anybody that wants to challenge me or debate me on my private life, my business life, or my tenure as city controller, I'll be happy, my campaign will be happy to pay for the airtime. We can all get into a public setting and we can debate this for the taxpayers and the voters prior to the primary. So that concludes my thoughts for today, and I want to thank Angelo Parada, a wonderful man, known him all my life. I want to thank him for having me here today, and I urge you all to please watch NCTV45 for not only this segment but daily updates. Angelo does a wonderful job. Thank you, Angelo.